This is what the White House looked like in the 1800s when it cost only $230,000 to build. Compare that to the White House of today and you will see clearly that a few things have changed. But what if I wanted to buy the White House today? Or better yet, what if I wanted to build my own replica White House? To understand that, you first need to see how much the building has expanded. When construction first began on the White House in 1792, the builders estimated that it would cost around $200,000. However, even back then, things cost way more than expected. After 8 years of delays due to poor road conditions, tight budgets, and a lack of skilled labor, the White House finally opened its doors to President Adams in 1800 at a cost of $232,372. Adjusting for inflation, this would roughly equate to about $7.6 million in today's money. And if you think that was expensive, the bill just keeps getting bigger as time goes on. If the modern world needed to recreate this original design, which had 2 floors, 36 rooms, and 11,000 square feet of space, it would be expensive but relatively affordable for even most multimillionaires. However, this does not factor in the huge number of upgrades various presidents have made over the years. Under the Roosevelt administration, he made a bunch of expansions to the White House, including the office spaces known as the West Wing, which eventually became a permanent fixture of the building. At around $65,000 back then, this would be just shy of $2.1 million today. But the expensive upgrades only continued from there. Over the next few decades, almost every single administration expanded the White House in some way, but these additions paled in comparison to what President Truman did. At that time, the White House was suffering from major structural issues, things like cracks in the foundations, outdated infrastructure, and floors that literally sagged under a person's feet when walking on them. They were so bad, engineers assessed the White House as being in imminent danger of collapse. Under President Truman, they gutted the entire White House, installed steel girders as a framework for a new building, created 2 basement levels, and nearly doubled the amount of rooms. The end result was essentially the White House that still stands today. But how much did it cost, you might ask? Over the contract's lifetime, the U.S. government paid about $5.4 million to remodel the place. If done today, that would be about $61.5 million. But if you're still keeping count of all the total revisions, so far this would equal $93.5 million. And if that seems crazy, wait till you hear how much they've spent on the Rose Garden. Long gone are the days when anyone with a saw and a patch of land that isn't even theirs could just build a home. With increased regulations nowadays, construction costs are very expensive. For example, between business insurance, licensing fees, lawyers, and numerous other expenses, the average cost of doing construction work in a city like DC today with luxury or government buildings is around $500 to $1,000 per square foot. And this doesn't even factor in the human cost. Back when the White House was being built, the U.S. government employed enslaved Africans as manual labor along with European contractors as the lead architects and engineers. Thankfully, today, there's no such thing as free labor anymore. But even paying people an honest wage for their work doesn't fully encapsulate the full costs of a labor force today. First of all, you can't just go to Home Depot and pick up a few day laborers and have them willy-nilly slap a new White House together. Because of federal contracting laws, projects of this size would need to have public bids put in for them. And if approved, the company and its personnel would undergo a strict background check. Because of the sensitive nature of the White House, all personnel involved with it need to be clear-headed and have squeaky clean background records. Not only that, but the U.S. government has a reputation to uphold. After all, the White House represents the United States to foreign powers. Only the best firms and workers would be expected to work on this kind of project, which all comes at a cost. But even factoring in these concerns still gets us nowhere near the final price. That is because the bulk of the costs come from the security measures around the White House. Without a doubt, the White House is the most fortified personal residence in the world, and for good reason. Throughout the course of American history, 4 presidents have been assassinated and 11 others have had attempts on their lives. This figure doesn't even include the 2 attempts on President Trump's life while he was still campaigning for his second term. Because of this, the security at the White House has steadily increased over the years, especially as these plots have become more sophisticated and frequent. Because of the wide range of threats, the security for the White House begins well outside of it. In fact, there are around 1.5 miles of fence surrounding the White House today. But this is no ordinary fence you might use to keep your neighbor's snot-nosed brat from running into your yard. In response to an increasing number of fence jumpers, the Secret Service doubled the height of the fence from 6.5 feet to 13 feet. However, making sure that not even the best NBA player could jump over was not the only change they made. By anchoring the fence at least 3 feet into the ground with specially designed steel, the Secret Service also made the fence invincible against a vehicle ramming into it. Additionally, the fence is made of high-quality steel that is blast-resistant. Besides that, there are unknown features the Secret Service alludes to as anti-jump technology, along with roof-mounted radars that can spot any intruders almost instantly. And the final price tag on this fence? A cool $64 million. But that's not where the security features stop. If someone managed to get over the fence and take a pot shot at one of the 147 windows of the White House, they would surely be sorry. As you can see, each of these windows is covered with the best bulletproof glass available. And these windows have been put to the test numerous times. Back in 2011, a deranged gunman tried to kill President Obama and fired numerous rifle shots at the White House. None of the shots fired at the windows made it through. With a price tag of about $1 million, this is one of the cheapest security upgrades to the White House. In 2023, under President Biden's administration, the White House fully renovated this room here, called the Situation Room. This is the room that wherever you see the president tucked away in a conference room surrounded by generals and monitors, he's probably here. First added in 1961 after the failure to give clear orders during the U.S.-sponsored invasion of Cuba, the Situation Room has become an iconic symbol of national security. However, due to the need for increased information and the need to update its decades-old look, President Biden had a major revamp done. The overhaul, which cost $50 million, included installing new sustainably sourced wooden walls, new computers and monitors, faster servers, updated audio equipment, and a new modular design to incorporate emerging technologies more easily. But this pales in comparison to what lies beneath the White House. Though there is already a confirmed bunker underneath the East Wing known as the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, there are rumored to be even more tunnels underneath the White House. Currently, the only confirmed escape route is to the Treasury Building, about 700 feet from the White House. However, there are unconfirmed rumors that there is a labyrinth of tunnels beneath the streets of D.C. These tunnels, measuring at least several miles worth, would allow the president to escape to places like the Blair House and the Pentagon, among other places. Allegedly, these tunnels have been under construction since the Cold War, with the most recent one being completed in 2010, which was to the tune of about $376 million. However, these are just rumors. And though these costs make up the bulk of a new White House price tag, the rest of the remaining parts of the White House will surprise you on what taxpayer money would be spent on. Though the White House is understandably fancy, you might be surprised by what is on the grounds and, more importantly, its cost. The infamous Rose Garden is one of the most notable things people can see from the outside. With hundreds of different rose bushes and plants of more than 50 species, the Rose Garden is among the most beautiful and opulent gardens in the world, and one of the most expensive. Though the costs are challenging to determine exactly, Melania Trump spent $3.4 million in 2020 on remodeling and upgrading the entire garden, which included planting hundreds of new bushes, adding walkways, and improving the irrigation system. Suppose one had to start from scratch today, considering all the high-end landscapers and horticulturists who would help. In that case, the cost might be up to $10 million, plus another $1 million a year to maintain it. But if you thought spending $1 million a year on some roses was crazy, wait till you see what's on the inside. Because of its dual purpose as a living museum, many artifacts inside are quite literally priceless. Not considering those, let's look at some of the amenities inside that would need to be replaced. For example, Nixon installed the one-lane bowling alley. Ford requested the outdoor heated pool. Franklin Roosevelt renovated the 42-seat movie theater, and Teddy Roosevelt ordered the tennis courts. If redone today, adjusted for inflation, these amenities would cost a mind-boggling $1.1 million. And that's just for the amenities. It is common practice for presidents to spend huge sums of money redecorating after taking office. One recent example was during Trump's first term, when he spent $1.75 million redecorating the White House to his liking. These expenses included almost $300,000 for building new walls, $17,000 for new rugs, and $5,000 for wallpaper and other expenses. Normally, presidents pay for many renovations out of their own pocket, but President Trump reportedly only coughed up enough money to pay for one chandelier in the state dining room during his first term. So, with all these facts in mind, what does the true total cost of rebuilding the White House look like today? Back in 2017, Zillow conducted the last modern study of trying to calculate the price of the White House. Factoring in the 132 rooms, 35 bathrooms, 55,000 square feet of space, and its known amenities and security features, the real estate giant estimated the worth to be around $397 million. But that was back in 2017. Adjusted for inflation today, the total cost to build a replica White House would be $500 million. If you want to afford that, you may need to skip breakfast for the next 18,000 years just to save enough for the 20% down payment. Bye for now.